It's funny, simultaneously as I feel like this movement grows of promoting diversity, inclusion, is the political climate we're in that's pushing back so hard more than ever before.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's, the chicken or the egg, or because one is rising, the other is rising with it. I'm not sure what that is, but it's such an interesting time because you have so much more, so many more advocates speaking out for these things, and also on the other side,
and it's
being more vocal than ever.
And it's a collective voice too, on, like you're saying, on both sides. And I do think that there's a fear of displacement. And we talk about this in the context of women and mean girl culture. And, when women are not supporting each other, when we are not lifting each other up, a lot of that comes from growing up in a culture of scarcity, right? That there's not enough. There's the one seat at the table, and we're all going to climb over each other for it. And that doesn't just start with women, and then you start talking about intersectional feminism and how all of that breaks down. And then there's even fewer seats at the tables, and more to climb over. And so, if we can come to the conversation and come to the mindset of abundance, like there's enough.
I know.
All across the board, and we don't have to fearfully fight for our place in all of it.
It's interesting, I'll just bring it back to my world of like acting and stuff, I have been so fortunate. It's hard when you first get to LA, right, to find your footing and find your tribe. But I am in a circle of people that if we are called in for an audition that we think our friend would be good for, I think there's an idea that they would be like, no, hide it, or like, don't tell it. We email each other when we're like, oh, tell your agent you should get in for this. You would be perfect for this. And when one of my friends, because I've had someone else go, why would you do that? You're creating competition. I'm like,
no.
It's never going to be between...
start calling competition the new C word.
I like that.
Totally
That's so good.
Oh my gosh. Can we do that, please? All right. Thank you.
Okay. I think that's so great, but I feel like there's enough to go around. And honestly, when I see someone from my tribe book something, I feel like I booked it, and it makes me feel like it makes it feel more real and more attainable when you have your peer group. One of your girls, achieve success,
and they take you with them. Even if it's just through the journey of their experience and what they're learning and doing, even if it's not literally the limelight in this case. It's fabulous.
It's so much more positive living in that way than being so protectionist. About, which is sort of like one of the words that is in our political sort of spectrum now, being very protectionist. But I think it's just, you're happier when you do, when you share, you're happier when you give.
You are.
And I don't know.
You are.
So,
and there's always that balance between giving and giving too much. But I think the other thing that you're talking about is finding your tribe. And having a healthy tribe. And, not participating in mean girl culture or toxic cultures, having boundaries is so important. Because
the mean girl culture, man, that is, especially with social media,
But we don't want to talk about it.
No, we don't want to right now.
We do. We do want to talk about it now. No, I'm just saying, culturally, as a culture, even when I did my TEDx talk 4 years ago. And even when I did that, I had a hard time saying women are mean to each other, because I felt like I was condemning us as a whole. And over the past 4 years, as we've kind of unpacked that, it's not mean girls, it's a mean girl culture. And we have the choice to participate in it or not. But we have to become aware of it, and we have to have the conversation, and we have to be conscious of it before we can choose to participate or not. And I think that's kind of the difference, because what I notice is that, and maybe you do too, if mean girl is happening, if a toxic culture is happening, it's usually pretty unconscious. They're fighting for something. I mean, they're doing actions somewhat consciously, but they don't know where it's coming from.
And usually has to do with something else going on in their lives and the way people act out. And
it can be something as simple as, not knowing how to tell somebody that, your relationship with them isn't working out. So you just stop calling. Or you start kind of shunning them at parties, or because we don't know what to do. Yeah. It's not necessarily because we're mean.
That's true.
It's just
sometimes
exactly. Yeah. Sometimes. We've got a bigger issue to fishify, but I'm glad that you found a good tribe. Yeah, and
it's funny because I feel like I really want to see the day where like it's cool to be, not in that. Yes. In that group of, and I don't know why I tend to think of it as like younger people, because I think there's so much bullying that happens and stuff, but I also think of it that way in terms of like right now, there's such a push to get more female filmmakers, directors, actresses in lead roles, and so right now I'm like, okay, there's a big push to do that. I can't wait for I feel like it's going to go through this thing where there's a big push, and then it's like the cool thing to do, and then it just becomes so commonplace that it's not even a conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I think that we started with women and mean girl culture and some of those things because it wasn't happening, and I feel like we know how to do it so well, because when we do it, like, it's magic.
I know.
When women come together and support each other, the most amazing things happen.
Agree.
And if we can do that for each other, then I feel like it could be a tribe of human, because we would teach and influence and bring other people along into those cultures. We hear a lot of that in this filmmaking conversation, that women leading teams of filmmakers, being the filmmakers, they change the culture of what's happening around
just
them.
The tone, everything.
Just the tone, just the process, all of those things. So I think it's so simple. I don't know why this is so hard.
But, I think it's all headed in the right direction, and at least it's now.
It is.
It is. It does feel simple, but I think people get so accustomed, like you said, to the way things have always been. And people that have already been in those positions of power, sometimes change is scary and people feel threatened, but we're coming.
All right, so I hear you have an awesome monologue. It's the enoughness dialogue, I'm sure, monologue kind of thing. But you talk about it on a broader spectrum. I've been told, little birds have told me.
Oh, that I have a monologue. Well, I can talk about what
it's a monologue, but I'm sure it's just a very clear, concise, way of explaining.
Well, what I said, it may be what I said in response to someone's question at the my first screening yesterday. I think what I said was, my film sort of explores, hold on, let me think about what I said. These sort of like catch words that we have now that are buzzing around, like hashtag Oscar So White, diversity, inclusion, all of these buzzwords that are more a part of the American lexicon than ever before, which I'm so glad are buzzing around and we're all talking about. And I think what I was saying is, I think that the intention is in the right place, but with any big movement, the execution isn't always on point. Yes. But I think that probably has happened with every big movement. The intention is there, but the execution isn't always on point, which is what my film is about, So I am seeing a greater call for diversity in casting, right? So they are looking for more diverse roles. But now, instead of what used to be so popular, like ethnically ambiguous was the thing, now it's so ethnically specific that it's like, well, if I have an all white cast, for example, and I need to fill in these roles, fill the diversity quota, or just, has to be someone that's so blatantly ethnic. So obviously Black, obviously brown, obviously Asian, that you're missing a whole pocket of people.
Yes.
And it's an idea of it.
Like, I'm right here.
Yeah. So it's like, so this role is for an Afghan, but you're bringing in Indian actresses because their skin is brown. That's not authentic. That's not accurate if that's what you're going for. Yeah. And so I love that you want, that you're looking to diversify your cast, but I don't think it has to be so Black or dark brown and white. You know what I mean? Because I think you sacrifice authenticity for that.
I do. I'm curious how that feels so you talked about, if it's a role for an Afghan and they bring in an Indian woman, how do you feel like that feels for that woman?
It's interesting.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Saying, okay, you fit. Like you don't fit, but you fit.
Listen, to some degree, I think we're all just happy to be sitting in that casting office.
Oh, yeah. Good.
I mean, but I don't want it to be like that. It shouldn't be like, well, I'll just take it. In the beginning, when I started being asked to get spray tans, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I put my foot down and I was like, well, I gotta eat. I'll get the spray tan. And then you're just like, I guess I'll do it because this is what I'm bummed. I have been asked, well, if she's from Afghanistan, why is her skin so light?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if that's the last thing that's standing in my way, fine, I'll just get the spray tan,
Yeah.
But, and only up until the very end of last year were any countries from what's called MENA, Middle East, North Africa, considered diverse. So my manager was told once, well, Afghanistan isn't considered diverse. So I'm like, okay, the country that brought you Osama bin Laden, a 16 plus, I don't know how many years we've been at war in Afghanistan, 99% of the world's, I'm just really plugging opium, plugging this country, but we're not considered diverse. We're not considered diverse in terms of meeting a network meeting their diversity quota. So hiring someone from Afghanistan or Iran or any of those countries was the same as hiring someone that was white, but they wouldn't hire us because we don't look white. We're not white.
Right.
So I was like, well, then I'm like, so what? Now we're competing against all of the white actors. I'd rather be, it's not that I'd rather be anywhere, but
it creates that culture, the same culture that we're talking about, where there's this pigeonhole that people are supposed to fit into, scramble toward, climb over each other for, and it pits you against each other. Maybe not consciously and not directly, but it pits people against each other. And it's an ugly culture.
Yeah, so it's only until recently MENA is considered because people worked really hard to make that happen.
To make sure.
I haven't seen it really come into play yet in terms from a proactive place where they're seeking us out and we still don't have to look a certain way, but it's there and that's the beginning. And so it's just kind of like we were talking about before, at least it's happening now and you just have to have people push and see it through.
Well, and acting is a beautiful thing because it's acting, right? And so you will, wear makeup and different clothes and other things to meet some certain standards. At the same time, I think the other thing I love and I love about some of the conversations we have is you're a whole person and you want to bring all of that to what the work that you do. And where you're from, your heritage is part of that. And so if you get to actually play that role full, then you totally want to do that.
And half the time, these roles that I'm going out for where they want the wife to be ethnic, it's not even about her. No one's talking about her Afghanistan-ness or it's not even about her Asian-ness or anything. So I'm like, well, why does it really matter? Where I'm just striving for the day where
people are just sitting around going, I wonder where she's from now.
So that's part of it too, I'm not out there trying to play every brown role or have some goal to play an Afghan on TV. I just want to
can I just be a beautiful woman?
Interesting roles.
Is that good for you?
Yeah. Not someone's wife, that sets up all the jokes for him. Yeah. But just an interesting human that lives a life that happens to be light brown.
Yes. Can I just be awesome?
Yeah.
That's what I am. And
exactly. Do you have a role for that?
I love it. I love that you came here
Thank
today.
You so much.
I keep hitting my little mood ring against the
What
table.
mood are you in?
I guess I'm just in a happy, calm, pleasant, perfect mood. So apparently I am.
This is your happy space.
This is my happy space. And you're in it. And thank you for
Thanks for inviting me to be a part of the tribe.
You totally are. You're here. You're in it.
Thank you.
I love it. I'm excited to follow you and see what you're doing. And tell us what you're doing next.
So I want to shout out Madam Secretary because along this journey, so I had a couple things come up between my film and Madam where I still ran into the spray tan thing.
Okay.
Right? And I got pretty close on some things. Madam Secretary had a role for an Afghan American, and I got to put myself on tape for it and audition for it, and they chose me. And I remember going to set and asking the makeup people, I'm like, well, do you want me to like get a spray tan? And they're like, why? Why would you need a spray tan? You look, why?
You look great.
Well, also they're like, you look Afghan. You look like what you're supposed to look. I'm like,
yeah. Thank you.
I know. And it was so, you know, someone said to me, your film worked. And I'm like, I don't know if it worked that anyone there saw it there, but I think it's the energy you put out there.
It is.
And I came across a group of amazing people that are culturally astute and didn't ask me to do something like that. And they were, you know, just in it for what I brought to the role. Yeah. And it was so validating and refreshing. And I was so moved, like, to have gotten that role. Yeah. On Madam, to be an Afghan American and not have to do anything to change my appearance and just be a powerful like woman who works in the CIA.
Here I am. Thank
I
you
was
very
like,
much.
so anyways, that
That's
show
cool.
was like such a reward after, whether they knew they were or not, such a reward after having made my film and then being accepted into this role and getting to play my nationality and not having to do anything different. Not even an accent.
That's
They
awesome.
didn't even want an accent.
That is great.
So,
well, and it is. I think it's an affirmation. Right?
Yeah.
Once more people start doing the same thing that you're doing, and again, it's not like, you know, I'm pretty sure that women supporting women, we didn't start that. Like, you know, it's a concept. But as we've been going forward, more and more people have been talking about it, and so it is an affirmation that for you that, okay, this is going in this direction.
Yeah.
I am part of a movement that is going to happen.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
Thanks.
awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need to unplug. Sometimes I've got to reboot. Sometimes I just want to sleep. But I always want to connect with you. Get into Brew Moods, aromatherapy lotions powered by a mindfulness app.